Right, this was a section of wire that started to pop up. You can see it as I was cleaning. So the way I think to get the wire up is to gently sort of go ahead with it with your acetone soaked cotton pad. You just take your time. You know, this is boring, but it's not rocket science. And just kind of go like that. And you can work down the wire and basically get the rest of the residue of that old glue off of the mylar. So I'm going to spend the next couple minutes just doing this. It's time consuming, but you got to be kind of gentle about it. And when the wires are all up and all this mylar is clean, we'll come back. All right, we've lifted the wire all the way up. We're not done stripping off the glue. Here's our tweeter wire. It's still soldered to the connections, but we've taken it off all the way down to there. I don't know if you can see that. It's a very fine wire. That was our tweeter wire. We're going to set that off to the side. We're not going to desolder it yet. We're going to come back and clean up the thin strips of glue that remain. We're going to wipe that all down until that is all clear. But we're basically through the stripping the glue part. And then the next step, which is also very time consuming, requires a lot of patience, is gluing the new wire back down. So hang in there. I'll show you the strip mylar in just a second. It's a couple hours later and we've probably been through 30 cotton balls. But we have, I think, successfully taken up all the glue covering the tweeter wire. At this point, we've not, that's the tear that we're going to have to fix. That's a disappointment, but now that we know about it, we can do something about it. We haven't unsoldered the tweeter wires. We're going to mark where those feed in before we do that. But you can see all the wire we removed. The next step is, and we're not going to do it, we're going to take a break because we've been breathing acetone for a while. We're going to take our new wire that we got from Magneplanar, and we're basically going to put down new loops of wire that match what we just took up. I have taped down the new wire. We haven't desoldered the old wire, and I haven't soldered in the new wire. I've spooled up some excess wire just to allow myself a margin of error. And I'm going to start gluing down the replacement wire. And the trick is to put the wire in the gaps between the magnets that you see. And we're going to run up and down and re-spool the wire. And I'm going to start that, and I'm going to show you how I do it, though it differs a bit from how Magneplanar suggests that you do it. Here's my method of gluing. I'm using very small amounts of ADAPT weld wood. It dries very, very quickly, so you can only do a little dab, not even an inch, and it's already beginning to dry. And I am gluing down sections of the wire as I go. Magneplanar recommends using spray mint to hold down the tweeter wire. And I tension this, I get a straight line by at the very end, just tightening that up. And I use the washers to hold the wire down throughout. So that's how I do it. One line I'm going to come back, hopefully I can spray mint down. But I'm going to use the DAP on the curves at the very end, because there's a lot of tension there. But to get the straight, to line the wire correctly, after gluing it down securely at this end, I add some tension by gently twisting the spool down at that end, if that makes sense. Okay, I've sprayed spray mint up and down the length of where I'm going to place the wire. For the corners, or to make the loops at the end, you need to shape the wire with a pencil or any round pen. I'm going to do that, and I'll show you how it looks after I put down a loop or two. All right, I've made one full turn, and it's actually going much quicker than to remove the glue. And the trick is to go slowly on the curved ends, because that's where it's going to come up, and then keep the wire tensioned, and as you're laying it down, keeping it straight, press every inch or two as you're going, and then you can always come back and press the whole thing down. I'm just using the wooden edge of a small paintbrush, but you know, it's quite tacky, and it actually doesn't take that long. Just remember to go slow when you come back around to the loops. So I'm going to basically finish this up, and I'll show you how it looks. Alright, we're finally at the part that's actually kind of fun. We've glued down the wires using Sprayman 77. The only hard part was really the curves at the end. We haven't soldered anything yet. We haven't desoldered the old wires. We haven't soldered down the new wires. But we're going to apply what the Magneplanar that Magneplanar sends. I'm not going to use the brush that comes with the can. I actually got a much bigger brush. It makes it easier to apply. I'm going to dip that in, soak that, and then we're going to go over the Sprayman 77. Just easy strokes. We're going to put a couple coats of this on. Alright, I've applied 2 coats of Magneplanar glue to the panel, and we're coming down to the end before we reassemble it. What we have to do is desolder the old wire and solder on the new wire. And since I need both hands to do that, I'm going to have to pause this. Before you resolder the new wires, take some sandpaper and gently sand the edges of your wire. This is coated aluminum wire, and you have to sand the ends. You'll see flecks of metal show through. You can use like 400 grit sandpaper or fine sandpaper, but do that before you solder. Here's the end result. If when I hook it up this works fine, we're going to put a sealant over where I solder the new wires on. This is this black stuff is a sealant, otherwise the aluminum wire corrodes. So after you strip your wire, resolder it, and if everything works, put sealant on the joints. Okay, I'm going to reassemble the frame using the markings I put on when I took this all apart. I'm going to start at the top, put on the sides, then finish up by putting back on the bottom and the base. See, the speaker's back in place. It doesn't have the sock on. I'm streaming my iTunes, and let's hear what this sounds like. Let's make sure it works before putting the sock back on and before putting the sealant over the solder joints. Alright, both speakers are working.
I'm Jeremiah Dixon, I am a Geordie boy. Glass of wine when you surrender, ladies on the shore.
Thanks for watching. I hope this helped.
Old Durham and Northumberland is measured up by my own hand. It was my fate from birth.